Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, you find a way to lose. Hey, look, man, we're going to continue with the Free Ryan Garcia movement, and I'm so glad to see that Ryan Garcia is making the right decisions, finally. He's over there with Joe Goosen for the last 3 years. Absolutely horrible, in my opinion, on how Joe Goosen has treated Ryan Garcia, and what I mean by that is not teaching him anything, not holding him accountable, not trying to develop him. Let me tell you something. When you're leading somebody, when you're training somebody, when you're trying to develop somebody, sometimes you just have to sit them down and tell them when they're wrong. And when they don't want to listen, sometimes you know what you got to tell them: shut up. You got to turn the boot sideways and shoot for the butt. And not the left side of the butt, not the right side of the butt. Sometimes when you turn that boot sideways, it needs to go into the hole. And Joe Goosen failed to do that because he was getting that money over there from Ryan Garcia. Coddling him, letting him do what he wants, because Joe Goosen knew this was his last opportunity as a trainer to really get a shot at the big times and have somebody with talent who may possibly take his name, like Diego Chico Corrales did, and put it into the headlines and put it into history. Joe Goosen failed Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia went where he was comfortable, thinking Joe Goosen, since they had a relationship since he was a teenager before he turned pro, and that Joe Goosen would have his best interests and could really develop him, and he didn't. Ryan Garcia left his team at Eddie Reynoso, where it was hard, where they made him earn it, where they made him work hard, where they told him, in these areas, you're grossly inadequate. In these areas, you're failing to recognize that you're not meeting the minimum standard, and we need to do something about it. He didn't like being reprimanded. He didn't like being counseled. Goes to Joe. Joe knew he didn't like those things. Joe wanted money. Ryan Garcia fires Joe Goosen. Absolutely good move by Ryan Garcia. Free Ryan Garcia. It goes on to say that the star boxer Ryan Garcia and trainer Joe Goosen have parted ways after 3 fights. Sources told ESPN, the last of which came versus Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. Let me tell you something, man. That pay-per-view event with Ryan Garcia and Davis, right? It's just rumors about it being a commercial success. I think it did very well. I still don't know about that big 1.4 million. Somebody said 2 million. You know, people lie out here. But if it's over 1 million, job well done. But let me tell you something. Ryan Garcia going into his next fight at 140 pounds, not sure who's going to train him. Not sure if he can hit $1 million in pay-per-view sales again, right? Need the right dance partner. But I tell you what, Ryan Garcia can't look any worse. Let's be real. Ryan Garcia can't look any worse than he looked against Gervonta Davis. Ryan Garcia will probably look a lot better. Now, if you ask me who I think Ryan Garcia should be working with, I'm going to tell you Manny Robles. But there's no guarantee that that's what's going to happen. But I think he should go to Manny Robles. Some people are saying he should go back to Eddie Reynoso. I don't know. He kind of burned a bridge. They don't have time to mess around with him. I think Ryan Garcia, although this is the Free Ryan Garcia movement, because I think Joe Goosen did him dirty. I think De La Hoya did him dirty. I think Hopkins did him dirty. Right? I even think his parents dropped the ball a little bit by knowing their son was injured, letting him get into the ring with a fractured rib, is my understanding it was fractured. But at the end of the day, when you talk about going in to make upwards of $10, $15 million, right? Because people need to get this through their heads. Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, although that fight did, supposedly, right, over 1 million pay-per-view buys, that doesn't mean you go and you multiply that 1 million pay-per-view buys by the $85 price point. And then now when you come with that 800, whatever number you come up with, right? That large-ass number. That doesn't mean Ryan Garcia and Tank is splitting that. 10% goes to the carrier. 45% goes to the network. Or the cable system. 10% goes to the cable system. 45% goes to the network. And 45% goes to the promoters. So only 45% of whatever, let me just do it real quick, whatever that number is, right? So let's take a look at something here, because, man, this is driving me crazy when people keep talking about this Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, man, and how they're making all this money. I'm like, yo, hold your horses, right? So it was like 1 million, and then was it like $85, man? So let's just do that. All right, so you're talking about 85 million, right? About 85 million in profit. Okay, so now you take that 85 million in profit, right? And then you say half of that is gone off the top. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about under $40 million to be split between Ryan Garcia and Tank. Now remember, when you talk about this split, I don't know, out of this $40 million, I don't know how much goes to De La Hoya. I don't know how much goes, well, let me say it. I don't know how much out of this $40 million goes to Golden Boy. I don't know how much out of this $40 million will go to PBC, or to Al Heyman. But let's just for even them, let's say $40 million. Let's say that $40 million, right? Golden Boy gets half, PBC gets half. It's $20 million apiece, okay? Out of that $20 million apiece, Golden Boy probably takes half. That'll probably leave 10 for Oscar De La Hoya, 10 for Ryan. When it comes to Tank Davis, it'll leave 10 for Al Heyman, 10 for Davis. Now, those numbers could be a little bit different, but what I'm trying to show you is out of that big number, 85 million, right? 85 million, right? Only about 10 million around there is going to go to Tank and Ryan. And it could see where Tank maybe gets 15 and Ryan gets 5 because I know they had to work out the percentages. So long story short, Tank made good money, Ryan made good money. But it's not the kind of money like people are thinking when they think about 1 million in pay-per-view buys across an $85 price point. I think it was what, $84.99? I'll tell you right now. So they can say what they want. Yeah, so it comes up about 85 minutes, so you know, about the same thing. So long story short, he's moving on. So who is he going to pick up? I'm telling you right now, I think he should pick up Manny Robles. I've been saying that. I'm going to keep saying that. I think Manny Pacquiao should pick up Manny Robles. Manny Robles is an awesome trainer, and I think he has space in his camp. Him going to Freddie Roach, I just think Freddie Roach is too busy. There's just too much going on with Freddie Roach. As far as him going and doing something different with someone else, I don't know. I don't know where else he can go. But when you take a look at it, this is Manny Robles right here. He's the guy who led Andy Ruiz, led him to victory over Anthony Joshua. So I think he's a good fit for several reasons. Whether you guys, people don't want to admit it or not, let me tell you something. He goes into a camp, and Manny Robles, my understanding, he's Mexican, okay? So now he's back to where he has someone maybe who can understand him, and culturally and Mexican-American, because Ryan Garcia struggles with that whole identity crisis. You know, he talks about it a lot. He doesn't speak Spanish. Those things bother him. But you could see Ryan Garcia was a different animal, and he felt happier, and he felt like he was really closer to his culture and learning more about himself when he was there with Canelo, Eddie Reynoso, and they accepted him. But I think Ryan Garcia needs that. I really do. I think he needs to be somewhere where he can be around the Mexican boxing culture, where you don't quit, you know, you fight to the end, and he can actually learn more techniques. Manny Robles is going to sit there and watch Ryan Garcia as soon as he comes in, and he's going to watch that footwork, and he's going to stop it. He's going to correct all that stuff that Joe Goosen wouldn't stop. You guys, for those of you saying, man, why are you so hard on Joe Goosen? Man, forget Joe Goosen, man. This man came out and said he didn't train Ryan Garcia. You know, when you got a guy like Ryan Garcia, you don't train him. You more or less, and the position I chose is I point things out. I'm not trying to show him anything new. I'm just more or less pointing out reminders. What in the world? You've seen this man here only relying on his fast hands and power, no footwork. You didn't want to correct it. You see, he comes into the camp. He doesn't respect you because he doesn't listen to you. You didn't correct it. You got to draw the line in the sand. So now Joe Goosen, I'm not sure what he's going to do. But him and that Vidal Sassoon is probably on to the next. But Ryan Garcia, good job. I'm going to keep going with the free Ryan Garcia movement. I just think everybody around him were greedy, were vultures. And at the end of the day, he's a grown man. He's an adult. There's some culpability on his end. But at the same time, I know how it is when you get people, man, and you have a certain influence, and they're kind of looking for answers, looking for guidance. And I've been in positions where I could have pushed a person a certain way that benefited me, and I never did that. And I had a lot of opportunities over 25 years. I never, ever did that. And to look and see these guys who are millionaires, they got money and they're straight. come out there and still want more money at the expense of this boy's health. And to make it even worse, Joe Goosen, this is a fact nobody wants to talk about, man. Joe Goosen, didn't he work with PBC or something, man? Right? Isn't that right? Because I see him on there on the PBC podcast talking boxing, man. So I don't know. Maybe that could be a bit of a conflict of interest. You know what I'm saying? To have somebody like Joe Goosen who's sitting around commentating for PBC, and then all of a sudden he's there now training Ryan Garcia to fight a PBC fighter, where some people had a way they feel about old Joe Goosen, and Joe Goosen being out there with a conflict of interest. Hey, what's he gonna do? You know what I'm saying? But that being said, y'all keep cool. Ryan Garcia's on to the next. I'm rooting for this man. I'm telling you. I'm not saying he beats Gervonta Davis. I'm not saying he beats Shakur Stevenson. I'm not saying he gets to 140 and gets a title. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is he can't look any worse against those fighters at 140 than he looked against Tank Davis when he trained himself, when he had an injury, when he was dehydrated. You understand? That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans on 7 continents. Free Ryan Garcia movement is going strong. I'm in the breeze.